Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another SWGOH tier list video. Today we're going to be ranking all unaligned forest users from best to worst. Technically I'm going from worst to best, but oh well, best to worst sounds better. So this is a ranking within itself. So I chose to lay it out. Every tier is going to be pretty full, actually. It's a large faction. I labeled it as the best faction in the game last time I ranked all the factions. There's a lot of strong contenders that might, be lower than what you'd think they'd be, and they'd probably be a lot higher in other tier lists, but because this is such a strong faction, it's going to be all over the place. So to start, let's get that F tier in here, and we got just three. We got Smar, Kylo Ren, OG, and Rey, Stick Rey. So like I was saying, all the tiers are pretty full. Are these characters F tier characters compared to every character in the game? No, probably not. I think they're all okay. They can have some use. If you're forced to use them, it's not like you're using Ugnaught or Cup or something. They actually have some utility. I put Smar at the top because she just has more, I don't know, prevalent use because she fits on a Starkiller team in TW that is still used, and if you're doing it in JSC, the revive is just kind of handy, and it's a generalistic revive, so not bad at all. Kylo Ren, I gave him a little bit of a nod over Rey because, I don't know, he's kind of annoying on defense in the early game. Like, Stick Rey is at the bottom because she just doesn't fit. She does some decent damage, but she doesn't have enough to offer where she really has a place anywhere, like either on a UFU team or a Rey team or a Resistance team or anything. Like, she's pretty much outclassed everywhere, which is sad because, believe it or not, at the very beginning of the game, end of 2015, early 2016, she was the best character in the game, and I'm not kidding. I played at the very beginning of the game. She did so much damage. The game was so shallow back then. That's mostly what it took. And she gave her foresight all the time and offense up. She just destroyed people. I pulled her randomly in a Chromium pack back when I thought that was the thing to do. She was 4 stars when it was impossible to farm things. She was just unreal. So just want to give that little nod to her, that little respect. She used to be great, but now look at her. She's at the bottom of the UFU tier. And following F, we have D. Got a few more characters in this one. We got a few Inquisitors, got Asajj Ventress, and Ahsoka Fulcrum. So this is the lowest tiered Ahsoka version we have. These Inquisitors, these are the ones that don't stand out a ton to me. Ninth Sister gets a little bit of a nod up in front because she can be useful as a tank in an UFU team, either under Lord Vader, really, or under like Seer. So she gets a little bit more plug-and-play viability there. Fifth Brother, though, is a shoo-in for the full Inquisitors 5v5 team. So that's something not to overlook. And then Second Sister, honestly, she's not that bad. The last time I did it, I think the UFO ranking, it was a long time ago. It was like right before Reva came out. So it's been a long time. She was like, the Inquisitors I have mostly in B tier, but this is a very packed full tier list. I'm telling you, the stats people are gonna love it, but everyone else might be scratching their head. So Inquisitor's kind of sitting here in the D tier. The D tier is, you have a place somewhere on a team. It's kind of viable, but you're a little bit forgettable. You might not make the 3v3 cut anywhere. And yeah, Asajj Ventress in GAC, she gets a bit of a boost from her Omicrons, but that original Talzin Night Sister team has kind of fallen by the wayside in the higher tiers of Kyber. And I don't know. She doesn't really find a place on the Grey Mother's Night Sister team. Ahsoka Fulcrum is pretty good, and she gets a bit of a boost to this point just because of her TW Omicron. It sucks because you need a second Omicron to activate her, but she's still pretty good. It's just, I don't know. She's kind of homeless a lot of the times. With Seer Maliko, she's great, but there's a lot of other better UFU characters that are getting squeezed down into that team, and she's not always going to make the cuts. So just falling to the top of that D tier there. But all these are definitely respectable characters. You just have to see the full list. Next up, we got C tier starting to get pretty respectable here. A lot of solid characters as far as the Inquisitors go. There's a lot of Inquisitors on this list, but I put 7th Sister and 8th Brother up in a higher tier than 5th, 9th, and 2nd because 7th is the one that makes the 3v3 team. So the healing, the assisting, the foresight, the cleanse, all that stuff. She's really good with that Inquisitor team. 8th Brother, I just gave him the nod a little bit higher because he does so much damage. He only has a place under Reva, and it's because Reva's so good with Grand Inquisitor. But yeah, he just hits really hard, so he is a favorite of mine among those those lackey Inquisitors that just serve the will of Riva and Grand Inquisitor. We got a couple paramours, for lack of a better word, Jedi Training Rey and Kylo Ren Amassum, star-crossed, cross-alignment, secret romance, if you will, in that new trilogy. So Jedi Training Rey, it's funny because she's the legendary and I'm putting her below Crew just because Crew is so valuable as a pre-taunting tank that doesn't take % health damage effects with the Slicker team or with the Malicos team, or even Lord Vader if you want to get crazy. So he's just solid in his role. He doesn't try to go beyond that. You know, the 2-turn irresistible stun is nice. He's not meant to be a damage dealer. Jedi Training Rey, I think she's all right. The best she can do in like Kyber 1 is tag along on a Rey team, but there's so many options for Rey. Sometimes she just falls by the wayside. Her leadership is actually really solid, and for territory battle, it's probably better than Rey's in a lot of cases. So she gets bumped up to the C tier. It's just, I don't know. She's from an older era, and just her kit's kind of outdated. She's just does a lot of things that aren't quite enough to make her valuable. And to top out the C tier, this is where you start to realize this is a very packed faction. If these two are in C tier, it's just ranked within the faction. So Seer and Cal are awesome. Seer has the leadership. It's a very strong leadership. She adds a ton of viability to random Ufus. Even before Malicos, it was actually a pretty annoying team to deal with. Malicos really elevates it. Cal, super valuable on that Seer team or on a Rey team, and he often finds his way there. So I gave him the bump over Seer just because of his plug-and-play viability. But yeah, they do a really good job at kind of punishing something that everyone else tries to focus on, which is speed. If the enemy team takes a ton of turns before they get to take their first turn, they benefit from it and then get a lot of boosts. But really strong, and yeah, they were tough. It was hard for me to put them in the C tier, but just wait till you see the B tier, which is pretty packed, and a lot of it are newer characters or lead/semi-leading characters on their team. So the newer kind of like tag-alongs, Marok, Shin, and Sabine, they tag along on a team. They're not really doing much outside that primary team. So Marok and Shin are with Balin. Sabine is with Ahsoka, but they do a lot of damage on those teams, and they're a lot of fun to use. I gave Shin the nod in that category because she's really good. I just love her kit. Like it's kind of bloated. It's one of the few characters other than Grandmaster Yoda that has 4 ability options to use, and they're all pretty awesome. And Marok hits like a truck. Sabine, I was tempted to put higher, but it was like over Mara J, but I thought there might be a small uprising. I mean, Shin Hati over Mara J is already tough enough, but Mara Jade's pretty fantastic too. She's just losing a lot of viability for me in GAC because Starkiller a lot of times just falls in with Malicos. He's just boosting that team because the teams out there are so good. I can't really find a place for Starkiller. Not to say you shouldn't farm him. Starkiller with Mara Jade and Palpatine are awesome up through like Kyber 4 or 3 or something. Really good team. Definitely a really strong beginner team as well. Above them, the one I could see people trying to push down farther is CLS. Grand Inquisitor, I gave him a little bit of a nod, which is, you know, doesn't entirely jive with my top 25 rankings for characters. But I'm giving him the bump now because CLS is kind of falling out of use in Kyber 1. Like, it's rare to find use for him in 5v5, 3v3 as well. It's just, and he's unlike a lot of characters like on his team. 3PO and Chewie is great on a Leia team, and then Han and Chewie, they're also great on a Leia team, and there could be flexible scoundrels or somewhere else. They have other places to go. If you don't use CLS on his own team, he doesn't really have a good place. Like, he is not a good supporting cast member. He's like the lead singer of a band that can't play along, and he needs to be in the spotlight. He's just not, like, it's just not going to really work much. Ben is solid in the middle of the B tier because he does a great job of lifting Rey, but that's really his only job. It's just he does it so well that he gets all the way up here. But Grand Inquisitor always has a place in 3v3 or 5v5 with Riva. That team is pretty evergreen. And, you know, there's a lot of other teams kind of joining the same class that Riva is in, that awesome non-GL team that can potentially beat other GLs. So, yeah, for now, I put him at the top of the B tier. And now we're finally getting to the tippity top of the list with, of course, the A tier. And this is a big reason the list looks like how it is, with all these decent characters shoved all the way to the bottom. All of these characters would be S tier on any other list. And I debated putting some of them or all of them in the S tier in this one, but then we'd end up with a super bloated S tier and then like empty bottom. But this way it actually is making a very nice, perfect curve. Do you see that? It looks really great. So we got 6 non-GLs here in the A tier for Ufu's, S tier on any other list. Bringing out the bottom is Maul. Then we got Starkiller, Malicos, Balin, Cat, and Riva. So I'll start from the top here going down. So Riva I still consider to be like second or third best non-GL other than like Bane and maybe Ezra. But she is just incredible. An option for several GLs and non-GLs. If there's a problem team, chances are Riva can handle it, but not always the case. Fantastic. GAC Omicron, GAC focused, but even great outside of GAC. With Grand Inquisitor, some of Grand Inquisitor's Omicrons are really awesome. Like the Ready to Die is really good. His leadership is pretty much a skip now because you only use Riva lead, but they're a great combo. Cat, I think there's a lot of people that still don't like how high I rate Cat, but I will continue to do so because of her flexibility and she's just a lifter to like any team that you need to meet one of 3 tags. Someone else has to be on the team of one of these 3 tags: Galactic Republic, Scoundrel, or Ufu. That's a lot of characters on the light side of the equation. And then everyone gets plus 50% health, offense, defense, and quick damage, I think. Don't quote me on that. But those are crazy impactful buffs. And the insta-kill is there. I mean, for JMK, it's immediate. So that's... she's one of the best teams right there. But anywhere else, it's still a huge boost. And nothing is locked behind GAC. So that, I will continue to put a premium on that. I don't like this era of... teams are only built to be awesome in GAC, and then they're kind of sucky outside. It's kind of like Balin. Balin is definitely better than Cat in GAC, but it's hard to find uses for him necessarily outside of it without a... I mean, you can slap a TW Omicron on the team too. I think that's Shin, but he's not as good without like Omicrons. Like non-Omicron lineups of Balin are a little bit lacking, but with them, he's so transformative. It's amazing, especially against Cat. He is by design anti-Cat. He counters all Ahsokas that aren't a Galactic Legend. So the best other one is Cat, and just wrecks that JMK team. It's pretty awesome. And his kit is like one of the longest. I think it's like the longest one in the game. So that's got to count for something. Malicos and Starkiller and Maul they seem to be like, they're all like lead, to continue with the music comparison, they're all like lead guitarists on really popular rock bands, because they're that all quit and join together. Because except for Maul, none of them are they're not leaders, but Maul primarily is not working in his leadership role, but they all can come together on the same Ufu team, Understeer, and really kick butt. I mean, in 5v5, you need it to be 5v5 for Maul to make sense in there, but he might find a place there. 3v3, put Malicos and Starkiller together. Starkiller's Omicrons are active, or his one Omicron. The specials are active. The unique is active only in 3v3, not in 5v5 under this year team. But they are amazing. They kick butt. They can beat the new Lord Vader team with the new clones. They can beat Rey. There's just so many things they can beat because it's so many Omicrons jam-packed into one team. But that being said, it's only GAC that they're really viable, and in 5v5, Starkiller on this team kind of falls behind. So he's a little bit behind Malicos in my mind. That's why they kind of fall a little bit lower. Malicos is just such a beast. One of my favorite characters is Malicos. Maul, I mean, I'm giving him A tier. He's not B tier. Like, I definitely think he merits being in this list, in this structure, how I structured it, at least in the bottom of A tier. But me personally, this is from my own experience. I don't use Maul that much in a lead. He's like a cleanup for JMK. He's not really viable on defense. And even with the Dark Side Mano as an Imperial Super Commander, I don't know. And now he's getting kind of kicked out on a Lord Vader team. We'll see if those new clones really hold up, like, across the board in all cases. But, yeah, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. But really strong A tier. Basically an S tier. But the actual S tier for this faction is just GLs. Because we literally have 3 of them. This is the most GLs by any faction out there. Some have 2, like Jedi and Sith, but Ufu is the only one with 3. And it's actually a really tight heat. It's not like any of these 3 are towering above the others, or just, it's not like Rey is just pathetically in the back, has no chance of beating Ahsoka or Slicker in these rankings. But I do think she's a clear third, with the addition of Darkseid Rey. Before Darkseid Rey, I think probably Slicker would have been third, but Slicker does a lot on his own. Darkseid Rey elevates him. It's like one of the apex predators in the game is that team. That's one of those teams where you're like, okay, where am I using my Slicker? In GAC. Slicker and Bane, those are kind of 2 of the most valuable offensive teams in my mind, but Slicker's also awesome on defense now too. He kind of falls to the aforementioned Bane. Still fantastic. Ahsoka, I think, has the edge over Rey. They have a lot of similarities. They're fighting over Ezra. Each of them loves Ezra. They're like 2 schoolgirls fighting over the same guy. And he kind of toys around with both of them and gives them both attention. But in the end, they don't really know who he wants. But then when they graduate, he marries Ahsoka. That's the comparison I'm going to go with. And Ezra is key in all this. So I do think Ahsoka with Ezra is better than Rey with Ezra. But I think a lot of people choose to put Ezra with Rey. For value reasons. You can force a lot with just Ahsoka, even without Ezra, whereas Rey, like, it's kind of figured out. Like, people know how to beat Rey at this point. But that being said, Rey is fantastic. Obviously, Esther, obviously GL. And in my last GL ranking, she was, like, I think number 4. I think since then, next time I do a GL ranking, I do a whole comprehensive ranking on my own of each game mode, and then I have an equation spit out the final result for me. So I'm not just picking 1 through 9 or whatever. But I think she'll come out below Ahsoka and Slicker in that updated ranking whenever I do get to it. It takes a lot of time. That's why I haven't gotten to it quite yet. But yeah, Ahsoka on her own can do a lot more. Rey's not necessarily that much of an offensive tool. There are times when she actually has shined on offense. For instance, I remember times when she was pretty good counter to JMK. I can't remember exactly when, but... it has happened. I think Ahsoka is just a great threat on offense or defense. She can almost beat all GLs on auto if you have her full team, including Ezra. So just fantastic. So I think that's what I have to say about these GLs. This is a fantastic faction. Strongest faction in the game, I think. When it came out, it was kind of a head scratcher. It was like, that's kind of a mouthful. Unaligned Force users, like, what the heck? But before that, we didn't have a Force user type tag for characters like CLS or Jedi Training Rey or Kylo Ren, because they were only with their little group of Rebel Resistance for sort of that. So, and since then, it's just blossomed into a juggernaut of a faction. Even though a lot of these characters don't have a self-cohesive team within UFUs, it's basically like Inquisitors and the Seer team, and then the rest of them kind of go with other teams. Well, and Balin, but they're mercenaries. But anyway, let me know what you think. It was a lot of fun ranking this and thinking through and talking about it with you, so I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.